This episode of NSCTV is brought to you by Leonora AAA, Bushrangers Brotherhood, Geelong Firearm Courses, Hunters and Shooters Society of Australia, Auto Scratch, Kilsyth Outdoor Store and Shooters Union Australia. So welcome to another episode of NSC TV, and thank you to our Patreon supporters and our sponsors for making this possible. So today we look at what you can do to support the NSC in its work program, especially as we come up to another busy 12 months. So stick with us. I've got Peter Zabradate, the Vice President of the NSC, with me. How you doing, Pete?
G'day, Neil. G'day, viewers. How are you going?
Okay, I just want to talk a bit about some of the things the NSC has done and the importance of supporting the work we're doing as we're clearly, I think, starting to get some good results across the board. So I think just a bit of a recap, certainly early on, we had quite a bit of success in the media with the around the COVID issues, and people might recall there was the closure of our gun shops early in the piece in the Labor states, and it was actually something which we were able to get onto pretty quickly. And what I've got here is an article from then which was actually replicated it was in 4 papers in New South Wales, Victoria, Western Australia, and I think South Australia, where the state governments had actually closed the gun shops on the basis there had been a national cabinet decision to that effect, and there actually had been no decision. And it was because of some of the work we did that actually revealed that there was no cabinet decision. It was actually the Labor states that making their own decisions around that. So that's just one example. We've also had articles in the major papers and opinion pieces in other papers refuting some of the claims that are made about shooters and the shooting sports over the past few years. So I think they're just some of the things that we've done in the public arena, plus we've had a number of legal actions which we've run and won, and there are some that are still in train. And they have been around the reclassification of firearms, they have been around the suspension and cancellation of firearm licences and the like. And then, of course, we've got the elections, which we have been heavily involved with, where we have provided voting advice to shooters in, I think, about 7 of the 9 elections that are held in every 4.5-year period. You've got all the state, federal and territory elections. This year, of course, we've got Victoria, and next year is New South Wales, and that will then complete the first cycle of elections. So we've been pretty busy. We've done a lot over that time, but we're going to need more support to be able to effectively ramp things up from there, because one of the things which, Peter, I know that you and I have discussed is that we're quite happy with what we've done, but we need to pick up the pace even more to do more for shooters around the nation. So, Pete, what's your sort of reflection on what I've just spoken about?
Yeah, look, one of the most satisfying moments for me personally as Vice President was exposing the great national decision of National Cabinet lie that was being peddled, read the closure of our gun shops, launching the legal action in Victoria that forced the registry and the government to back down and reopen our gun shops here in Victoria. As you said correctly, Neil, we made papers around the country on that when we exposed the great lie that was being peddled, particularly by Lisa Neville here in Victoria, the police minister. So that was enormously satisfying. In 3 years, I look back and I think we've just turned 3. I think it's our 3rd birthday next month. And the amount of stuff that the NSC has done in 3 years has been nothing short of phenomenal. We've certainly kicked a few goals, made a reputation for ourselves. We've raised the profile. We've pushed back on bad gun laws, reclassifications. We've made the registries around Australia somewhat fearful, I guess, and accountable, because I know that for the first time there's an organisation that is watching everything that they do and pushing back where necessary, whereas in the past, unfortunately, our existing shooting organisations have just been only too willing to roll over and cop it sweet or play dead or be nice to the regulators. And we know that they're basically bullies. The government and the regulators are bullies. And if you don't stand up to a bully, they're just going to keep bullying you and taking away more and more and more. So in 3 years, what we've done has just been phenomenal. The growth of the NSC and the message and the brand of the NSC has just blown me out of the water. The level of support we've got from shooters has just been fantastic. But I don't want to rest on our laurels, as you said, Neil. There's a hell of a lot more to do, and there's a hell of a lot more that we can do. And we're just getting really our stride and into the swing of things. So we do need to ramp up what we're doing. Obviously, we don't take money from anyone other than donations and also memberships. So we're self-sufficient. We don't take money from government, and that's probably a good thing because we haven't compromised our position or compromised ourselves. But we are going to need all the support we can get from shooters.
Yeah, you mentioned the shooting organisations, and I think this is not really a criticism of them, but historically they were created to run ranges and events, and that's their expertise. That's what they do and do well. And there was a vacuum in terms of the need for someone to step in and deal with what was coming to us from government and regulators. And they did their best, but I think my comment there is twofold. First is that the skill set that you need to be able to deal with governments and regulators is different from being, I guess, a shooter who might be a painter by day. That's not the skill set you need to fight a political fight. But the second thing is that it's become a fight of trying to minimise how much we lose, and that's not a winning strategy. So what we have done, and I don't really want to further our own sort of nest here, but what we have done is stuff which has not been seen before, but we need to do more. So
Absolutely.
I think, and that's where the growth has been important. And shooters like it. They've seen what we've done. They like the style of what we do. And we're using their own processes here. I mean, we're using the election processes. We're using the legal processes, which often are just appeals that are being made to a tribunal or to a higher court. And if we win those, then I'm afraid that's a reflection on the government and the regulators, not on anything else.
Absolutely. We've been very, very successful in winning cases, and we've got a couple that we're wrapped up that we're waiting on decisions on, obviously. But we've utilised the legal process as a tool, using the system to fight the system, if that kind of makes sense, which no one else has really ever done before.
The work we do, especially the legal actions, they cost a lot of money. They're expensive, but they're important. And I think the key thing is we're getting results that we just would not have got. So look, in terms of the next 12, 24 months, what is your message to shooters in terms of the need to support the NSC and how they can support the NSC?
Look, we've shown what can be done. There's obviously a lot more that can be done, but we've set a benchmark and proven successful in what can be done. So, shooters come to us and they want us to do more, and that's great. We want to do more. As shooters need to continue to support, and if necessary, ramp up the support, whether it's through memberships or donations. I mean, we've made such a name for ourselves that any shooter that posts out there on any of the shooting forums that they're in trouble, the standard answer to their posts out there is contact the NSC, which is pleasing, don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, the NSC doesn't have the resources to be able to help absolutely everybody. I wish we did. But what we can do is largely dependent on the support we get. So if you want us to do more, help us to help you.
Well, you see what we've done has been done in the last sort of 3 or so years, and that's a pretty good record to have. Just on the donations, people can they can certainly go to our website, which are up on the screen, but also they can subscribe to NSCTV, where they'll get all our videos, including ones like this, first up. And the other thing is with sponsorships, I think it's important that we acknowledge that we've got quite a number of sponsors, but there's plenty of room for more, because they not only helping to bankroll some of what we're doing, but it's providing a visual sign of strength, if you like, and it's a growing sign of strength.
Absolutely. I look at our followers on social media, for argument's sake, and I see, for example, and I'm not having a go at anybody, but I see a fair few gun shops. At the end of the day, it would be great if some of those gun shops or gun dealers would actually, chip in, reach into their pocket and take out a sponsorship, because, the sponsorships basically help fund what we do. With the sponsorships, I mean, mate, there are plenty of shooters out there that are small businesses, whether they're tradies, uh, you know, plumbers, electricians, whatever the case may be. Those guys can become sponsors as well for a small fee. And, we'll certainly provide their logo and give them a plug and do everything that we do. But it's putting back effectively into the sport that we all love so much. We've managed to show that we can protect what we have and hang on to it. But if you want to go forward and fight further, as I said, we need to up the ante a little bit with memberships and sponsorships.
Okay, and there might even be an opportunity for a bit of a meet and greet with you coming up in the next few days. Maybe
Absolutely.
an autograph session. Where are you going to be?
Okay, I will be at the upcoming Collectors Gun Show in Ballarat, which is in a couple of weeks' time. It's a weekend event. NSC is all geared up and ready to go, and we're really, really looking forward to it. So if you happen to be in the area or you've got an interest, by all means, drop in and see us at the NSC stand. I'll happily do autographs, pose for photos, and all that sort of stuff. But
there'll be people's chance to get their Peter Zebradak fan club T-shirt personally signed by you.
Yep, and we'll also have a range of what's left of the original NSC merch available. So if anyone wants an NSC T-shirt or a hoodie, and they're the right size, we'll have those up for sale as well as other bits and pieces. So, but it'd be great to meet as many NSC members and supporters. I always get a real kick out of meeting NSC supporters and having a chat to people and listening to the feedback from NSC members about what they like, listening to their suggestions, and even sometimes copying a little bit of criticism about things that they don't necessarily like about what we do, although that's minimal, which is also pleasing. But I love talking to members and I love talking to supporters. So if you're in the Ballarat area on that weekend, pop on down to the show and say good day.
Okay, no worries. Okay, look, Peter, thank you for that. Thank you for your time.
My pleasure, Neil. Thanks to everybody else as well.
Okay, see you later. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode of NSC TV, and don't forget you can support us through our website at nationalshooting.org.au. And don't forget to share this with your friends and subscribe to our YouTube channel. See you later.